Welcome back to the studio. We are now joined by the CEO of ONE MOTO. His name is Adam Ridgway, and it's a pleasure and an honour to see him back at DMI Studios.
Thank you very much. What an introduction.
Good to see you.
It's brilliant. 15 years it's been since I've sat in the studio. It's amazing.
Nice one, man. So tell us now about ONE MOTO. You've been doing so much throughout the years, and it's gone from strength to strength in the region as well.
Yeah, we launched in sort of 2016 with an idea, and I saw that there was more and more things getting delivered, from petrol to your house, and I thought, that's a ridiculous idea. No one's gonna, what society are we living in if we're getting fuel delivered to our house? I was so wrong. It's absolutely fantastic. Free plug. But then, as then you see the different delivery companies, there's more and more delivery bikes on the road. I thought, well, I wonder if anyone's creating those electric. And I've been a Vespa rider in Dubai or anywhere I've lived in the world, and I just love being on two wheels. Very sensory and it's wonderful. So I started doing some research, pulled a team together, and thought, if we're going to do this, let's do it in our beachhead market, UAE, home, and let's try and pioneer and make a difference. And that's what we've done.
And you're doing an amazing job. I mean, 10 countries already. So tell us about some of that global reach that you've had.
Okay, so when building businesses for myself and helping others do it over the years, I've always thought, go big. What is the biggest dream you can have? And I'll maybe share one in a minute with you. But I thought, we've got that global vision, but you need the foundations. With any relationship, you need foundations. Business, you certainly need it. So we looked at, in 2020, when we first launched, say hard launched, after all the R&D testing certificates, 2 months later there's COVID. And crikey, that was hard for everyone, right? And we thought, we're brand new, give us a chance. So we took a board decision not to focus on sales at all for the first year, which is terrible financially, but it makes sense. So you build the relationships and so on. In 21, unfortunately, it stretched into, what are we gonna do now? And we looked at the foundations, the way the company's built, and I thought, if we've got these great foundations, then why don't we start looking globally immediately and just start exploring it? So that's exactly what we did. And we're in Bahrain, Jordan, Iraq, Nepal, Sri Lanka, UK, obviously UAE, Chile, Ethiopia,
Nice.
And there's 27 others.
Wow.
So we're
Easy, mate.
You know, you mentioned something quite interesting about going big, right? And if there's anyone who's going to go big as a city, is Dubai, right?
Yeah.
So what I'm really interested in, because obviously mobility has a huge impact on the lives of people, right? So Dubai is obviously looking to be the most livable city by 2040. So how do you see EVs, especially the kind of EVs that you're looking at, being able to shape that and to actually make the city itself more convenient for people to travel?
Yeah, lovely. If we take mobility, because EVs aren't the answer for every use case, because you've got the inability to import or have the supply of EVs as readily as the demand requires. So there's a bit of a challenge. But if we look at mobility, I believe that in the next few years, mobility is going to take a huge shift in terms of the sense of ownership. So subscription models will be more commonplace, as long as the convenience is maintained. 90% of a car's life is dormant, right? It's parked somewhere. It's a terrible investment, absolutely is, but it has convenience. So in terms of shaping the landscape of the UAE, or say take Dubai, you've got the public transport, and there's tremendous efforts from the RTA to expand and make them even more efficient. But then, as I'm part of a steering committee, I see and hear a lot more that's going into the vision, but it's actually actioning the vision in Dubai. So mobility, shared ownership, and different vehicle forms related to EVs, delivery, last mile EVs, that's the future. Mark my words.
I believe you.
So Adam, can you just kind of strip it back for the only blonde on the sofa?
Excuse me?
On this sofa.
Oh, okay, right.
So can you just tell me exactly, like, in terms of like EV vehicles, what it is that you're specifically providing? You touched on it there, like scooters, last mile delivery. Why is that so detrimental to like the environment and what we're providing in Dubai?
Lovely. I'm going to throw a few statistics your way, and I'll try not to make any of them up.
She just said to the only blonde on
I'm
the
going to
sofa.
say, make it simple. Let me absorb the info.
So if we take the three vehicles that we say focus on, mopeds, And mopeds aren't used, or two-wheel mobility, motorbikes, there's about 4,000 in the country, so it's a very small market. We don't focus on the average everyday commuter on two wheels. But in other markets, because of that global vision, we do. So you can find the gig economy, or you might find a college student, then of an evening, they'll go and do some delivery work. Or families take their kids to school in say, Asia, for example. So that's why we focused on that niche or that vehicle form. But then looking at the last mile, we've got the delivery vans and a delivery bike called Biker. And if you take the average petrol delivery motorcycle, there's 92,000 of them in Dubai. They're 50 times, 50 times more harmful to the environment than an SUV and a bus, or SUVs and buses, which is shocking. It's overlooked by many. So if you take the 92,000, that's 260,000 tons of CO2 each year, which is 290,000 acres of forest it would take to sequester that amount of CO2. It's 10 times the size of Paris. So it's quite a significant amount for 92,000. There's 37 million in India, 20 million in Pakistan, 9 million in Africa, 67 million in Taiwan.
I've been to Vietnam, there's probably a few
Sorry,
there.
Vietnam. Yeah, 67 million.
Wow.
So they're the vehicle forms that we focus on, and the last mile, we've got one mission, is to decarbonise last mile delivery in the UAE.
Can I just ask though, because I am interested, why are petrol bikes so much more polluting? Because they are smaller.
They are smaller. It's the combustion engine and per capita. So in a car, say below airline, cruise liners, and then it's motorcycles, because the inefficiencies of that combustion engine and the fuel efficiency, because they're smaller, they're not necessarily made as well as cars and other vehicles. So the per kilometre or per kilometre litre fuel consumption,
It's
it's not
constantly
efficient.
pumping, right? It's constantly pumping, constantly.
There's no catalytic converter. There's a lot of reasons why a petrol vehicle isn't as efficient. But then you look at EVs, it's not just environmentally better, but also the way we make them is environmentally better because of our supply and value chain. But then it's the low fuel or no fuel costs and the minimal servicing and maintenance. So the whole stakeholder realm benefits.
Incredible. Well,
I've
thank
known
you
for
so much,
years.
Adam.
Yeah.
And I still haven't been on one. Like, mate,
Shame on
sort
you.
it out, man.
Shame on you.
Thank you so much, Adam, for giving us your insight. Please stay with us a little bit longer because it's now time for the Daily Roundup. What's the buzz, Faris?
It is indeed time for the Daily Roundup. Dubai Metro is going to be building a new 30-kilometre blue line, providing a link between the existing red and green metro lines, and there's going to be 14 stations. Maharaj, we need to talk about this.
Fantastic.
Because you're all about living cities. How important is that line to be added?
I think, look, the more the network becomes far more convenient for people to use, it's not just the metro, it's, again, having the right infrastructure for things like EVs, scooters, but cycling also has to be part of that solution. And I think Dubai is doing that. It's coming up with so many initiatives to try to create that ultimate network.
Well, that's the thing though, isn't it, Adam? Because, like, if you think about it, everyone's using cars because of the convenience, as you said. But if there were metro line networks available to all, and you just need to travel with your EV or even with a bicycle to get there, it's better for you, you lose weight, you get more sun, and there's less pollution.
Absolutely. The difficulty is with town planning or urban planning on these mass projects is you're retrofitting for it to work, and it's not easy. So if you take the metro lines and new ones being built, you go, right, that's great in terms of relatively straight lines feeding the community. If you take other cities, Japan, Paris, London, where those metro links or underground links have been there for hundreds of years, the city's been built around those. So you don't need to build more stations because they're already there. It's then, as everything gets built, that's ultimately convenient. Straight out your apartment block, walk a few hundred meters, you've got your metro line, or you get a bus to the underground. That works. Whereas here, if it's not convenient, and I don't know whether it's just us living in Dubai and we're blessed, or maybe
we need that convenient
we need
life.
the convenience.
It is, but I think the key point here is about convenience. Actually, the reason why cities like Amsterdam and Copenhagen are the best cities for cycling, because it's more inconvenient for people to actually use the car. So I think as long as we have this car culture here and all this beautiful and great infrastructure, the primary choice is always going to be on the vehicle, cars, but the challenge is how to flip that model. And I think Dubai can do it. It's a great city for innovation.
Yeah.
And I think with some entrepreneurial spirit, we'll see some very fantastic projects. Obviously, we're part of the loop, and we'll maybe talk about that as well more. And I think that kind of project is setting the example of the kind of entrepreneurship that we need. So it's how we can create an ecosystem around Dubai to actually be able to promote alternative modes of transport, such as EV vehicles.
Yeah, it's that infrastructure. You've got the charging infrastructure for cars. We've got swappable battery banks, ultimately convenient. You don't need a charging infrastructure, so you can, loads of people, tens of people can, or riders can swap in, swap out whenever they want. So it's really convenient. And there's that innovation. I've said for years that innovation really starts, or is founded with startups, but yet startups have the issues of the sort of resource and the capital to bring their ideas to life. Dubai, or the UAE, certainly blends that or makes it a little bit easier. It's very difficult to navigate that landscape of access to capital, but it is a lot easier, whereas the governments, the beautiful thing, we were pioneers, we were first to the market in the region, and it took quite a long time to get that sign-off. But if you think the government are signing off a brand new, unknown electric vehicle concept and brand to their roads, which has massive safety issues, massive regulatory issues, and no one's ever done it before, you've got to be so careful on making that decision, because it has to be right, and it has to be absolutely bang on first time, no mistakes. So there's a lot of change.
And people need to trust you. And people do trust you.
Thank you.
And that's the thing, mate. We all trust you. And we were talking about this earlier, wasn't we, Ferris, about startup capital and
Yes,
how we
we
can
were.
get this into business.
We're going to be
and so on.
millionaires, Lane.
We are. Well, let's find out what else is coming up on the show, so stick around.
Later on, we're going to be finding out about the first ever electric scooter cup in the Gulf.
Nimi went down to have a little chat with some football legends.
And as always, we have our performer today. It's going to be Jay Bellamy. Don't go anywhere. This is DXB Today.